Welcome back to the garage, everybody. Working on the old blue Willys today. More of an admin day than a fabrication day, but we still got a few things done. Let me walk you around a couple things. So yesterday we took off the fender on this side, and today we put it back on. So nothing too crazy. I just had to take it off to fabricate that the air cleaner mount and with the heat shield yesterday. So that all went back on, and then went in for a test fit. Everything's looking nice and good for clearance, and that's all good. We did trim out some of this, fit around the shock tower, added the mounting screw holes for that. I got all but one that was just a little bit off when it went back together. I think the grill just shifted a little bit, so I'll play with that. But other than that, I think I did add that hole too finally. And then got her all back on there. Got this all back together for a test fit. And everything looks really good. Oh, I did have to I could not for the life of me find a long enough hose clamp to go to hold the filter down to the mount. So I actually had to make one with by just tack welding two clamps together. I'll find one eventually, but nobody in town had one. Small town problems. So other than that, everything under here is looking really good. And I did go through and clean up the model on the side draft intake horn and sent the final version of that out to get commercially printed for the first time. So that's going to be done out of a nylon material with a selective laser sintering process. So that is basically a much more durable process than I can do at home. And they can, they do a like shot peening, tumbling process to make it look nice for texture. And that nylon material, I think it was a PA12 material, is heat resistant enough and very similar to the composite upper intake that's used on this anyways. So feeling pretty good about that. And hopefully if that all looks good, I'll be able to offer those now in the future on the web store. So that'll help people getting these engines in these low hood flatties. Other than that, I did have to order a bunch of parts and all that exhaust stuff and whatnot. But what I really had to do was I redid the list again, and basically it started out looking like this, and then I recombined it into this. And so basically I kind of left some things, kind of shifted some things over, eliminated some stuff we were working on, and added new stuff. So this is more just like miscellaneous fab tasks that are kind of small and not a whole project in themselves per se, but need to be done. And this is more of a reminder list at this point that I can just go through and check these off and do them when I can. They're small projects, probably, half hour or an hour or whatever. Not like complete projects like mounting an engine or something. So I just basically will keep going through this list, keep adding stuff as I think of it, and then just cycling this list through. These are the bigger projects and parts that I'm hunting and that type of stuff. Most of this stuff we've gone through. Today I ordered the final air horn, the first of the final production air horns, to see that. I did find the 4.3 harness and gave it a look again. I not too happy with it. It's rough, and I don't really think I'm going to use it. So I'm going to look for another harness from like more of a hot rod harness type thing. Still need to do the power steering pump and hunt down the smaller pulley, same one I used on the LX45 I think should work, and that was really good results. And then once I do that, I can do the belt. I'm still hunting information on this clutch master cylinder output fitting. It is a Ford thing. It doesn't look conventional. It's like a, I'll see if I can find a picture of what the master cylinder looks like out. But still looking for information on that. Still looking for flywheel bolts. And I still need to work on the SM420 shifter. I did find the donor shifter though. So we have parts to do that. And then these can wait, but I do need to order some exhaust gaskets. And then I need to go run around town and see if I can find a good Group 51R battery to replace this mock-up battery. But not super critical, just when I'm at the store anyways, I'll grab that. We've got the ECM. I did order the mount. It should be here in the next day or two. I found a GM factory mount that looks like it's going to get me about 90% there. And it was strikingly affordable. I think it's a reproduction part, so it should be easy to mount. So I got to do that install, and we're putting that on the firewall here. If we remember, that's kind of the last vestige of space in this engine compartment. I mean, man, is this thing packed up. Look at all that stuff in there. Jeez. And that's only a V6. So, but we did get a, decently big radiator. We didn't have to get into the headlight buckets. We did do a mechanical thermal clutch fan, so never have to worry about heating problems. It has a really nice shroud. I do want to do an airflow funnel that goes from the grill to the radiator, and maybe something on the sides just to help keep airflow from splashing around under the hood or recirculating. So that's all looking pretty good. This is stuff for later, but just to keep my mind, I do have another SM420 that I can do some of this mock-up stuff on with the bell housing and the bell housing modifications. Need to look at front brakes. I have some of the parts. These are FSJ full-size Jeep, front disc brakes, but honestly I'd like to do something a little different, so I'm going to look into that. And then this is just plumbing for the power steering assist system that I need to just go through and buy a bunch of fittings and get all them pointed the right way, and then I can do hoses. And then this is kind of miscellaneous tasks. So we've got to do the ECM mount to the firewall. We talked about that a little bit. I need to come up with a heater hose bulkhead fitting to pass the heater hoses through the firewall. I think that's going to have to be kind of down back in here-ish, I think. Just sneak those between the engine and the computer, right about there. Try and keep them away from the header as much as I can. Go under the ignition coil and that stuff. Like I said, it's getting tight in there. And then, I do need to trim rocker to fender step bolts. That'll probably be the next time I take the fenders off, or I'll get them all marked. That's basically the bolt that's going to go here to hold this assembly. That's going to go here to hold this assembly, just this corner together, and then I'll patch that hole and that kind of stuff. Got to do one of those on both sides. I got to trim the Haas for the winch mount, which is down there and done. This is a sunken 8274 winch mount with a, I don't know if you can see that or not, with a skid plate on the bottom. So I need to trim a little bit off the top of the Haas to get it to the fit and stuff. And by Haas, I mean one of these, which is my own design. I call it the Haas HOSS Fairlead, which stands for Harsh Operation Synthetic Safe. And so these are a bit different than anything on the market currently. They have a very large 3/4 inch radius and a little bit wider opening. The hardware is socket head and moved over as far as possible, so we can have the largest corner radius. and then it has an outside radius just in case you need to reach under the vehicle with something. And then the unique thing is on the back side, you can see that it has this step that keys into the winch mount that provides a lock for this, so it takes the stress off the mounting bolts, and then it also provides a safe transition for the winch line past the winch mount. So if the line gets bunched up on the drum, it doesn't have any risk of getting that sharp steel edge of the winch mount exposed and cutting your winch line. But anyways, for these kind of mounts, I do with the 3-inch tall bumper, I do need to shave about a 1/4 inch off the top of this. So that'll go down there, and then I will be able to mount the winch, which I should do before I get final weights for the shock, valving, suspension stuff. The exhaust Y pipe fab, everything's been ordered, so those parts will be here middle of next week, and that'll be a good fun project. I think that the hard part's over, honestly, with the mock-up that we did under there with the 3D printed pieces and mapping that all out. So that's all mapped out, and then basically we just cut the pieces on the saw and then tack them together, test fit, and then pull it and weld it. So it's fab, but it's the question mark is done now, if that makes sense, which is why sometimes I take a lot of time to do those type of things. Instead of experimenting in expensive metal, I can do that in 3D printed parts or plastic, and I think it pays off later. So, and then the radiator air ducting we talked about. Basically, I'll go through that one more time here, show you kind of something that I found when I was messing with this thing that annoyed me. So basically, I'm talking about stuff to keep the air from going around the radiator. So there'll be something here and here to funnel the air into it and keep it from going around. And then also I noticed that, I don't know if you guys can see this very good, but this grill still, once you pull all that structure to move the radiator forward, they do get a little floppy. So it moves about 3/8 of an inch or so. So I think I'm going to do a little airflow duct that goes, mounts on the bottom of this flange and goes to the radiator, but then also come off of that with a small bracket maybe that goes to this crossover bar for the shocks, and that'll really help firm that up. So and then I do need I don't know, this was kind of one of those things I thought of when I was doing it, the throttle pedal stop. So basically we did all that throttle cable and everything, and this all works as factory as I can get it, but the let's see if I can get you down in here. So the throttle goes to full throttle, but it stops before anything else hits, and so I'm wondering if I shouldn't put some kind of stop that I can adjust so that if you really if you really mash the pedal, that you don't run the risk of wow, that's terrible camera work, Brennan. Okay, there we go. So you don't run the risk of like popping the end of the throttle cable off or breaking the throttle cable. So if you put a stop there, then I don't think you can really, the throttle cable shouldn't really have to take much force, and it should be safer. So I'm going to probably do that. And then there's holes in the dash. We've talked about this, but this one definitely had some extra. Whoa. All right, so definitely had what I have identified as some extra, or cut in, drilled in holes, and some of the factory ones. Anyways, I want to go through and fill some of those and clean up the dash a little bit. Not 100% sure what I'm going to do with switches yet. And then on, I don't know if you guys can, yeah, look, there's our shifter. Anyways, then it had this pretty bad radio hole on this side that all needs filled in and everything. So that'll clean things up under the dash a decent amount. And then, oh, just little stuff like weld up the hood where it was trimmed. I'll show you that here real quick just so you know what I'm talking about. So this, when I trimmed the, actually this is kind of cool because I haven't showed you that in this orientation. So the hood was trimmed to fit around the raised fenders, and when I did that, I bent this flange back on the hood instead of just leaving a cut line. And then I had to go through and do a lot of work to do this transition here, and I need to go in and finish welding this seam, fill in this, I don't know what you would call that section, bend, outside bend, inside bend, I don't know. These are a real pain, but go in here and weld this up and then dress all that down as much as I can. And I got to do that on both sides, of course. Same thing on this side. This one came out a little rougher right there, but that shouldn't be too bad. Just the details. Oh, and then I've got to weld. I found this when it's just a tight area. So the valley of the A-pillar where it hits the dash, this very upper part of that area still needs welded, and it's just a super tight area. If you can see where the angle is, so I need to get in there with and just rebuild my TIG torch with either a little bit more stick out and a lot of gas, or maybe see if I can find a narrow nozzle to reach down in there. Got to do that on that side too. So that's the list, and that's where we're at. And if you're following along, this is whoa, man, that's crazy. Maybe I need a gimbal. I don't know. Anybody have any gimbal recommendations for cameras? I'm just using a stick. It's a fancy stick. It's a tripod stick, and it's adjustable, but it's still just a stick. So anyways, yeah, so that's where we're at. This is the Friday before Easter Jeep, and or sorry, not Easter Jeep. Meh. Cut that out. The Friday before Memorial Day. Jeez, the days are just flying by. But that's when it is, and that's what we're doing. So wanted to get kind of things lined up, lots of parts ordered, so they would go out and be here next week. And yeah, so long weekend. Maybe we'll do some different videos with something like, you know, talking about another one of my products for Be Safe recovery gear, like the Haas, or something like that. I've had a couple of requests in that area, so maybe this weekend, if the weather holds, we'll do something like that. Thanks for following along with this crazy flat fender build. And if you have any questions, just drop a comment below. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm and all that stuff, I think. And there's bell notifications, and subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.